Hey everyone, Lex here with Alamo City Movie Talk. I apologize about my voice being a little hoarse. I'm going through a little bit of a cold. I'm recovering, but we wanted to bring you this review, and this one's one that's really dear and close to my heart because I am a big anime fan, and you might already know what I'm here to review. I'm going to give you a movie review of the Demon Slayer movie. Particularly the one that's out and about is Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, because there is one previous movie called Mugen Train that actually came out a few years ago, but that is a whole different beast, or this is a whole different beast in the Infinity Castle. For those that are familiar with the anime, this is an anime that was adapted in 2019, so we're approaching essentially, 7, heading to 8, and potentially 10 years of this anime being in the mainstream when it was adapted from its manga counterpart, which the manga ended in 2020. And the reason why I was kind of filling with the years there is because this is first of 3 that is expected as far as films go for the final arc, the Infinity Castle arc of Demon Slayer. So that might be a little disappointing for some, having to wait that long, but it is expected that the last one will be in 2029. The next one I think is already slated for 2027. So essentially, first one releases 2025, second one 2027, and then the next one expected 2029. Full 10 years of this anime being on air, but like I said, it seems like this whole final arc is expected to be in the form of movies, which I think is great for the genre of anime, but also it's proving to be quite successful, as this has already opened at 70 million here in the US, just in the US. That it exceeds the expectations. That's what you expect from a big live action blockbuster opener, as well as it being the biggest domestic opening for any foreign language film. So that includes live action, anything, documentary, biopic, everything, which is really, really crazy. Those of you that have loved anime for a long time, you guys are probably really happy that it is this much in the mainstream. And yeah, sorry guys, I needed to give you all those facts because it's just to paint the picture. Maybe you're tuning into this review and you haven't decided if you want to watch it or not. Maybe you haven't seen the anime. So I feel like it was important to get that additional context as I give you the review. But here it is, guys. Demon Slayer Infinity Castle was amazing. It was really, really good. It's quite a long movie. Some of the challenges I had with it was in its pacing, because it's already a 2-hour and 35-minute film, and you feel every minute of that to an extent. Like, obviously there's a lot of enjoyment here. You see a little bit of every character that you can expect to see in this portion of the arc. However, there are some characters that the story focuses in on a little heavier, and that is to be expected. And I think the expectation is that going into the next movies, you'll see a little bit of the story from a different point of view. But for those that are a fan of kind of like the recurring themes of the Demon Slayer franchise and some of the main characters, just know that they're very much at the center here for the most part. But when I say that it is a long movie, it's usually you can find yourself a well-paced movie that is 2 hours and 30 minutes, and you're not feeling that it's long. It flows in a way where you're following, and by the end of it, you're like, yeah, no, that's exactly what I expected. Here, I think because of the anime storytelling format, the time is felt a little bit different. You can kind of see how this could very well be an episodic story, and even when there's certain tone beats that you could think of an episode ending there. And for those that don't know, the previous movie, the Mugen Train, was converted into a season of Demon Slayer. And so the movie aired first, and then months later, these were aired as individual episodes to be consumed in streaming platforms like Crunchyroll and stuff like that. I think they might go in the same direction here, where they'll announce, like, officially a season 4, but it's what you've seen in the movie already. And that doesn't always translate very well into movie format. So that was one of my downsides there. The movie relies heavily on flashbacks as well. And that, I think, anime does a ton of. There's literally like memes about that stuff, but it is overly reliant in this movie to an extent where it felt a little excessive at times. But once you start seeing the story and the narrative points that the movie is trying to make for certain characters specifically and certain villains, you can see why they had to do that. It's just, for those that may not be used to that from an anime perspective, just know that you can kind of feel it here once you're given that 2 hour and 35-minute window. Okay, that's the bad stuff. That's like my problems with it. What I really, really loved about this was the story. It hits the emotional beats that you would expect from the final arc of this series. You've grown to love a lot of the characters in here, and so it knows when to pull at the heartstrings when it comes to overcoming certain challenges, or the stakes for this movie were set, in my opinion, even prior to this movie. The season 3 arc, at the end of that season, the stakes were set, and we understand, like, this is the final night or the final battle that these characters are going into, and that comes with some heavy stakes. And I'm trying to avoid spoilers, but there's heavy stakes, and you're shown that in this movie multiple times. You're reminded that no one's really safe, and it knows how to do that. And the action is amazing. Some of the best animated sequences that I've seen in a really, really long time. Demon Slayer has been well known for the work that is put into the animation itself. This is in partnership with the studio that does the animation itself, in MAPPA Studio. And those that are a fan of the manga may know, the manga is great, but some of the scenes don't look as polished as when you see them fully realized on the big screen and with a big budget, right? This is a movie budget as opposed to an episodic budget. So it's really, really great. I highly recommend watching it in theaters. I'm assuming it's going to hit streaming and things like that, but I think this deserves being watched in theaters. There's already a lot of memes around the reaction and response from people watching some key scenes, which they shouldn't be posting spoilers like that. However, you can see that the energy is out there, so you might get a special screening when you go to the movies for this one, guys. Highly recommended. It ends at a point where I'm just really excited and impatient to see what happens next. This was my review, guys. If I was to give it a score here, I do think this is a very strong 9 for me. Just had a lot of fun with this movie. I want to watch it again, see if the pacing feels a little bit different on the second go-around. That being the only challenge, and once again, inherent to the anime type of storytelling. I didn't want to take too many points because of that. So otherwise, I felt like this was a 9 for me. Catch our later reviews coming. We're heading into the fall season, award season, essentially. So like, share, and subscribe, guys. See you next time. This was Lex with Alamo City Movie Talk.